The house near the river. Arifa rented an old house near a quiet river because she wanted peace to finish her online work. She liked calm places, and this house stood far from the village, surrounded by tall trees and thick fog in the early mornings. The villagers called it Ushabari, but no one explained why. Arifa thought it was just a name. She arrived in the late afternoon. The house looked old, but strong. The wooden walls were faded, the windows were dusty, and the front door creaked loudly when she opened it. Inside, the air felt heavy, as if the rooms had not been opened for years. Still, Arifa set up her laptop on a table near the window and convinced herself this would be a productive month. The first night passed quietly until 2:13 a.m., when she heard 3 knocks coming from inside the walls. She sat up in bed, confused. It was too slow and too clear to be rats. She waited for another sound, but the house remained silent. She finally went back to sleep. The second night, the same knocking sound came again at the same time. 3 slow knocks. Arifa sat up, uneasy. When she woke up the next morning, she tried to ignore it and told herself that old houses make strange sounds. By the third night, things changed. The knocks came again, but this time she also heard footsteps in the hallway. They were soft, steady footsteps, as if someone was walking barefoot. Arifa stayed frozen under her blanket, listening. The footsteps stopped right outside her bedroom door, but the door never opened. The next day, she called her friend Lisa on video to share the strange events. While they talked, Lisa suddenly shouted, asking Arifa to turn around. Arifa looked behind her but saw nothing. Lisa insisted she saw a shadow pass in the hallway. Arifa felt a chill but still tried to reassure herself. Days passed, and the noises continued, every night. Sometimes Arifa heard faint whispers. Sometimes she felt the air turn cold, as if someone was standing very close to her. One night, she clearly heard a young girl's voice behind her saying, "You shouldn't stay here." Arifa turned quickly, but the room was empty. From that night, the voice of the girl returned often. Sometimes the girl sounded scared, sometimes sad. The more Arifa listened, the more she felt the girl was trying to warn her. One night, as Arifa walked toward the kitchen, she suddenly saw a small figure standing near the doorway. It was a girl, around 12 or 13 years old, wearing clothes that looked old and torn. Her hair was wet, dripping as if she had come out of the river. She stared at Arifa with calm, tired eyes and lifted a trembling hand to point toward the attic. Arifa froze. Before she could speak, the girl's figure slowly faded away. The attic was the only place Arifa had avoided since she arrived. The door was swollen and always felt cold to the touch. The next afternoon, gathering all her courage, she decided to open it. The door groaned, as if the house didn't want her to go inside. The attic smelled of old dust and something faintly sweet. Arifa shone her flashlight around. There were old trunks, broken furniture, and a large black burnt circle on the floor, as if a fire had once burned there. As she moved closer to the burnt spot, she heard the stairs creak behind her. She turned slowly. At the top of the stairs stood a tall, dark shape. It had no clear face, and was the outline of a long, human figure in shadow. It did not rush toward her. Instead, it moved slowly, like something that had all the time in the world. A deep voice echoed in the attic saying, "You came too late." Arifa backed away in fear. The shadow stretched its arms across the wall and stepped closer. At that moment, the ghost girl appeared again near the attic stairs. She looked frightened and shouted, "Run! He does not let anyone leave." Arifa ran down the stairs. The house shook, as if something heavy was moving through the walls. Doors slammed shut, windows rattled, voices whispered all around her, saying, "Stay here, stay here." She reached the front door, but it refused to open. No matter how hard she pulled, it would not open. The shadow figure came down the stairs behind her, growing larger as it approached. The ghost girl appeared beside Arifa and whispered, "Wait for dawn." Arifa asked her what happened. The girl said she had once lived here with her father. He had tried to burn the house after locking her in the attic. The fire burned her, but she never left. Her father's spirit remained too, twisted and angry, trapping anyone who entered. The night felt endless.
After Arifa left Bishrampur, she tried to return to her normal life. She moved back to the city, rented a small apartment, and spent her days trying to complete the project she had started. But something inside her felt changed. The peace she once wanted so badly now felt impossible. The first few nights in her new apartment were quiet. She kept all the lights on. She slept lightly, waking up at the smallest sound. Each time the clock crossed midnight, she felt uneasy, remembering the footsteps in the old house. On the seventh night, around 2:13 a.m., she woke suddenly. She didn't hear knocks this time. Instead, the air in the room felt colder than usual. Her blanket felt thin. Her breath came out in a soft fog. She slowly sat up. Her room was dark, but she noticed something unusual. The curtains near her window were moving gently, even though the window was shut. For a moment, she thought it was her imagination, but then she saw the shadow on the wall. A small shadow, the shape of...
Arifa climbed the stairs slowly. The hallway felt colder with each step. When she reached the attic door, it was half open. Inside the attic, she saw two figures. One was the tall shadow she had seen before, standing silently near the burnt circle on the floor. The other was the ghost girl, sitting near the wall with her head down, crying softly. But there was a third figure, a boy, Mintu, sitting on the floor with empty eyes, staring at nothing. Arifa called his name. He didn't respond. The shadow turned slowly to face her. The room grew darker. Arifa felt her heartbeat rise, but she stepped closer. She wasn't sure why. Maybe the girl's sadness pushed her forward. Maybe she felt guilty for escaping while others stayed trapped. The girl looked up at Arifa and whispered, "Help him, before dawn ends." Arifa suddenly felt the shadow step closer. She heard the house shake. She felt the cold wind swirling again. She grabbed Mintu's arm and tried to pull him up. He was weak, like he.